Good morning and welcome to the Daily Tanya. Today is Monday, the 15th day of Shevat, Chamisha Asa B'Shvat. And of course, this is the Rosh Hashanah of the trees. It's a custom to eat fruits of the trees, especially fruits from the 7 kinds that the Holy Land was blessed with, like grapes and figs and dates and pomegranates and so on, olives. So it's a mitzvah, well, it's a good thing, a good custom to do. One of the things the Rebbe mentions, it says, Adam Eitz Asada, the Torah says, a man is compared to a tree. And one of the reasons why it is compared to a tree, there's many explanations, many reasons. One of them is that when you see the tree, you plant the seed in the ground, and the seed goes through the process like rotting, and it seems like it completely dissolving and disappearing. And yet from there comes the growth. And that is also to learn that when a person finds himself in a situation where he feels like it's a difficult situation to the point that he feels like almost rotting away, we say this is where the growth comes from, and we should never give up, and to see how the beautiful things will grow. And in a way, it's connected also to the Tanya Shia that we're learning today. Alter Rebbe, yesterday we learned about when we understand what the effect of doing an avera, doing a transgression, that is similar to idol worship, because you're separating yourself, and we said it brings a person down even lower than the evil itself, because the forces of evil, after all, just do fulfill God's will, while a person that goes against God's will. And you realize that. And a person, being that we have the hidden love to Hashem, we don't want to be separated from Hashem. So now the Rebbe goes on and it says that after all, people do go and violate and do things that Hashem doesn't want. The Alter Rebbe, this is what the Talmud tells us, that the reason why a person does is only because of a temporary insanity that he goes through, a foolishness, a thought of folly and foolishness, thinking that what we do now is not so harsh, does not separate us from Hashem. Let's begin with the tzedakah again, tzedakah, shemekarev es hageula, and we'll see inside what Alter Rebbe says. We are in the middle of chapter 24. Says the Alter Rebbe, Ve'lochein amro razal al pasuk kisiste ishtoi ein adam over aveira v'chula. This explains the commentary of our sages on the verse, if a man's wife turns aside, meaning commits adultery. So the Talmud says, the word, when the Torah talks about the laws, about a woman is being unfaithful, or is being accused of being unfaithful, she's being suspected. So there's a whole process what needs to be done. And the Talmud says, the word that the Torah uses, kitiste ishtoi, that the wife turns aside. The word tista is written with a sin, and this has the same words as tishte, which means become foolish. And the Torah says, the Talmud tells us that ein adam over avera elaim kein nichnas ruach shtus. No man commits any transgression unless a spirit of folly foolishness has entered into him. So our relationship with Hashem is a relationship similar to a relationship between husband and wife. When a person goes and is being unfaithful to God, it's like the wife. We are the wife, Hashem is the husband, we are the wife. It was being unfaithful. So says the Alter Rebbe, just like what the Talmud says, that a person does a folly, he does a transgression, is being unfaithful only because of the foolishness. So when it comes to serving, when it comes to violating the Torah, is the Alter Rebbe, the woman would be, if she would only realize the effect of the fact of the transgression, if she would realize the effect of the transgression, she would certainly not commit it. How do we know that? Because the fact is that when a person does feel, that same woman, when she does feel that something separates her from Hashem, she would be really ready to give up her life. As we mentioned in earlier chapters throughout history, men, women, children, everyone, people would give up their lives not to be separated from Hashem. And so what happened? So the only thing is, how come that woman is willing to do something foolish? Is because she doesn't realize is the effect of the act. If she would realize the effect of the act, she wouldn't do it. Says the Alter Rebbe, Afilu isha mena'efesh shedaita kala, for even an adulterous woman with a frivolous nature, she could have controlled her passionate drive were it not for the spirit of folly within her. What is the spirit of folly? That folly, that foolishness, covers and conceals the hidden love within her, the hidden love within her divine soul that yearns to cleave to her faith in God. ולא יפורד חס ושלום ואחדוסוי אפילו נוטלים את נפשו ממנו לעבוד עבודה זרה חס ושלום. That woman says, her divine, the hidden love in her divine soul that yearns to cleave to her faith in God and to his unity and oneness, and that resists even on pain of death. Any separation from him, from his unity through idol worship. Even if it means the pain of death, she would not do it. Not only she would not do it, not only would she not bow down to and go and separate from Hashem, even if it means only doing an act without any meaning, she would still not do it. Even if this idol worship would consist merely of an empty act of prostrating herself before the idolized object without any belief in her heart in the validity of the idol worship, so certainly she wouldn't do it. And now, when it comes to overcome that temptation, she doesn't overcome this temptation. This adulterous woman does not overcome the temptation, even though it's not as difficult and it's not as painful as giving up your life not to worship idols. That's what Alter Rebbe continues with. Now, if her hidden love of God has the power to enable her to face death rather than be separated from Him, surely then it is within its power to overcome the temptation and lust for adultery, which is lighter suffering than death. May God protect us. So why then, when it comes to this violation, she's not strong enough? And the difference is because she doesn't realize the effect that this does on her soul. The distinction she makes between the prohibition against adultery and that against idolatry is also but a spirit of folly stemming from the klipa. It is the insanity that tells us, the temporary insanity that tells us, it's okay, I'm violating one violation, it's no big deal, I'm still connected, I still believe, I'm still connected with Hashem. And that folly conceals and can block the soul, but only till a certain point. Says Amalbeshes lanefesh leikis ad bechinas chochma sheba veloy ad bechlal. Yet the spirit of folly envelops the divine soul only up to, but not including its faculty of chachma. This we explained in chapter 18. The chachma is the deepest level of the soul that nothing can affect us. But up until then, it can be affected. Because of the divine light that is clothed in the faculty of chachma, as explained above. That is the spirit of folly. That is the foolishness that a person convinces himself that doing a small thing doesn't separate me from Hashem. Says the Alter Rebbe, but in truth, however, afilu aviro kalo, areya oivro, oiver al rotzein elyon baruch hu. Even he who commits a minor sin transgresses the divine will. And he's completely sundered from God's unity and oneness. It's a total separation. God forbid, doing Aveira. And it says this is worse than the klipa, as we learned yesterday. It brings the person worse than the klipa, worse than the idolatry itself. Why? Because the idolatry only fulfills Hashem's will, the mission of Hashem, as we explained yesterday. It's there for a purpose, but a person who has the free choice and chooses the idolatry, he falls down lower. So even more than the sitra ach and klipa, which are called strange gods and idolatry of the Zorah Mamish. And also more than all the things which of this world that are derived from them. What are the things in the world that are derived from them, from the evil, from the klipa, from the other side? The unclean things of this world. Person doing a wrong choice is even worse than Avodah Zarah, and worse than the things that come from the evil, from the unclean sides. What are the things? Namely, the unclean cattle, beasts, and birds, and the vermin and reptiles, which all receive their life force from the three completely unclean klippas. A person who does them goes even lower. Ukemaimar yitush kdamach. And as our sages have said, when a man sins, he is told that the gnat preceded you. So the gnat is a kind of creature that it ingests, but does not bring out anything. It does not defecate anything. That is the ultimate impurity, ultimate evil. Kedusha is something that shares, something that gives of itself. Klippa does not give. And if it gives for an ulterior motive. A net is a kind of creature that doesn't give at all, which represents the ultimate klippa, the ultimate impurity, the ultimate evil. But when a person commits a sin, is even less. He is told that that the net preceded you. What does it mean, preceded you? When God created the world, the net was created before the man. But in a sense, the message is that even the net has a higher level than you are. Because again, ultimately, it was created by Hashem. But a person has the free choice, and when he chooses to go down to the other side, is even worse than the net. This means that even the net, which, as the Talmud states, consumes food but does not excrete, indicating a klipa, which is the height of selfishness. It does not give anything of itself. Which is the very lowest form of klipa, and is far removed from holiness, which characteristically gives of itself even to those far from it. This so this yitush, this net, takes precedent over the sinner in the order of descent of the divine life force from the divine will. So the net is higher than the person who commits the sin, and certainly all other impure animals that are high on a higher level. They fulfill Hashem's will. And surely the other unclean creatures, even the ferocious beasts, are higher than the sinner. Because all those do not deviate from their divinely intended purpose, but obey God's command. And although they cannot perceive it, or the animal cannot perceive God's command, yet their spirit perceives it. And because the spirit perceives it, that is why the Torah says that originally a human being is supposed to be superior to the animal. The animal is supposed to be afraid of a human being. As it is written, the fear and dread of you shall lie upon every beast of the earth. As our sages explain, that a wild beast will never defy a human being unless he appears to it like an animal. So as long as there is the image of God in a person, as long as the person is one and pure with Hashem, an animal is afraid of it. Perceives the godly image. But once a person goes against the will of Hashem, it loses that godly image and appears to the animal just like another animal. Ve'atzadikim she'ein tzelem elekim istalek ma'al paneim kol chayes rois iskafin kamayim. In fact, when confronting tzaddikim from those righteous people, from those who face the divine, whose face the divine image never departs, the evil beasts are humbled before them. As it's stated in the Zohar concerning Daniel in the lion's den. You'll know the story from the Bible. He didn't touch the nail. Why? Because he has God's image in him. But a person who sins loses that image and falls lower than the animals. It is thus clear that he who sins and transgresses against God's will, even in a minor offense, is at the time he commits it completely removed from the divine holiness. Meaning God's unity and oneness. Even more so is lower than all the unclean creatures, the vermin, and the reptiles, which derive their sustenance from the sitra acha, from the other side, and the klipa of Avodah Zarah. So that is the foolishness that a person does not realize, which leads a person to commit a sin. But when you realize that, when you learn this Tanya and you understand this, it gives us a reminder. It gives a reminder to realize what we are facing, and thereby it will give us more strength to overcome our little temptations and do the right thing. So this is the end of today's share. We'll see you tomorrow, B'ezrat Hashem.